Hey, Tammy, let's talk about some key mistakes to avoid when applying for a mortgage. Why don't we talk about that today?
Absolutely. So tell me, what do you think, what should we watch out for?
Well, first, don't quit your job during the process. Lenders want stable employment, so don't quit, don't change, even if it's an upgrade. Typically, it's just not a good thing to do while you're applying for a loan.
Absolutely, absolutely. So what about how your name needs to appear on your loan application and your offer?
Yeah, so you need to make sure that your name in your application matches your ID exactly.
So how about if you're a buyer, let's just say, and you've made any purchases where maybe you've co-signed for, another family member? Is that something that could affect you?
Yeah, so co-signing, obligates you to that debt as well. So don't co-sign if you haven't already. If you have, be sure that your lender knows that. And avoid any big ticket items when you're buying, especially, don't do any finance anything, and don't even have anybody run your credit other than your lender.
So I would also say, let's just say if you've already done that, you've co-signed for somebody, right? And you're going to start house hunting. It would probably be a good idea to see if potentially that person may be in a position now to just refinance that in their name.
Yeah, absolutely. Check, see if they can refinance it. And if they can't, then just be sure you're clear, you're transparent with who's going to be doing your mortgage for you so that they can calculate that into your debt to income ratio. It can affect your credit and what you can qualify for by how much that monthly payment is.
And I think at times, just touching on that subject just for a moment longer, is sometimes if there is a paper trail occasionally that shows that person has been making the payments, again, check with your lenders. Sometimes that may get you through that.
Yeah, so it depends on, I guess, otherwise the strength of the loan.
Yeah,
so,
absolutely.
And don't charge up your credit cards or take cash advances. Keep your balances low. What would you say a percentage would be on the balance of the credit card that's advisable?
I mean, typically you're going to want to keep that, at less than maybe 25% of what your, availability is to charge on that card. You want to make sure you're using them because that's going to help drive your, credit scores, but always make sure you make your payments on time and try to keep that below 25%.
So how about cash deposits? If I have some cash I've been saving up to buy with, and I want to deposit in the bank just before closing, so I'm sure that money's there.
That's a really good question because we honestly see that, right, quite a bit in our business. So you really want to avoid any large cash deposits, and not just large cash deposits because those need to be seasoned for a period of time. But it's always a good rule of thumb to just not make cash deposits at all, and because you're going to want a paper trail, and especially when you get to where they're like over $500, so I've heard from different lenders.
So they want to make sure you're not borrowing money for your down payment and closing costs, basically.
Well, or getting it anywhere else. Right.
So what if I get a gift for down payment?
Yeah, absolutely. Once again, we will have transactions that happens frequently where a family member is going to give that buyer some of the money they need to buy. When that arises, the buyer really needs to make sure that they've definitely gotten in touch with their lender, because that gift money has to take place in a certain way with certain steps in order to prove that where that money came from and have the proper documentation.
Okay. And also disclose any child support or any other payroll deductions that aren't obvious when you're doing your loan. What about paperwork? I mean, what problems do you see in getting paperwork to the lenders?
So once you get down to kind of the wire and your loan is gone into underwriting, you may find that it comes out with what we call a clear to close with conditions. And it's extremely important throughout the entire process that you're very timely in getting that in. But when you're at that point in the transaction, you definitely want to react quickly to what your lender needs. You'll have to go back into final underwriting or again in order to get that clear to close.
Okay, so I'm buying a house, I'm scrolling, I see online lender. It sounds incredibly great rates. Wouldn't you suggest going to that lender?
No, not always. Obviously, the lender you choose is your choice, and you would, want to actually see maybe some documentation from them. A lot of times, when interest rates sound really good, they're making up, some of that money in other ways. Sometimes what we call junk fees. So I would tell you definitely shop with a local lender, one that's got a good reputation, that other agents are really know of in the area, in case that seller's agent is giving their input to their seller about the lender that the buyer is using when presenting their offer. So I would definitely tell you to weigh out your local lenders as well.
Good, great. Thanks for the tips. And if you have any questions for us, and you like have any more detailed questions or just like some information, feel free to DM us or drop a comment below. Thanks for watching.